As you can see, got them all lined up here to start some spitting for you guys. Don't have all of the colors, but we have a nice little selection. Unicorn spit, for anyone who either hasn't heard of it, hasn't had a chance to get their grubby little paws on it, is a gel stain and glaze, meaning that pretty much anything you want to put it on, you can put it on, it'll stay. You can actually mix the colors to get different colors. You can mix the white to make the colors lighter, obviously. There are 5, hey Kiki!
Kiki!
There are 5 other colors available that I don't currently have. There's black, yellow, orange, red, and pink. All of the warmer colors. Obviously, I don't have any of them because Home Depot only had these 5 when I originally went looking for it. There are places online that you can buy, Amazon being one of them. You have to be careful though where you get it from if you decide that you want to try this stuff out. I know on Amazon, if you're looking to get like any of the colors, like, oh, I just want the pink, yellow, and orange, and you want to go and just buy those colors separately on Amazon, you have to watch it. Hey Brenda, they will charge you different prices for whatever reason, so you kind of have to watch it. On unicornspit.com they have a listing of supposed retailers. They say that Hobby Lobby is a retailer. 2 Hobby Lobbies that I've been to, never even heard of it. I have seen on the Unicorn Spit, the official Facebook club group, whatever you want to call it, that there are some Hobby Lobbies starting to get this stuff in. It usually for a 4-ounce bottle, which is what these are, they're anywhere from 8 something up to 12. If you're paying over 12, back away, act like you didn't see it, and keep looking, because you really shouldn't be paying any more than 12 a bottle. If you can find it cheaper, snatch it up. They used to have shimmering spit. They no longer have that, which makes those of us who love glitter very unhappy. They are supposedly going to start making it again. They've only been saying that since I started looking at this stuff, and that's been since July. So we never know. They might come back out with it. They also put out limited edition colors. And right now it's like a Navajo, it's almost this color, but think more New Mexico jewelry kind of blue. I'm not even sure how to describe it. But these are what I have to work with. You can do some pretty cool stuff with only 5 colors if you can wrap your mind around not having pink or red or anything of that nature. Now with Unicorn Spit, you can do wood, you can do metal, you can do concrete, you can do glass, acrylic, anything that you think you would want to put this stuff on, you can pretty much put it on. The downside to this is that you have to seal it with an oil-based sealer. Now that can be something as simple as tung oil, which if you're doing a piece of furniture and you don't necessarily want a thick coating of polyurethane on it, you can do tung oil, and tung oil will give you this. It's still shiny, it's still sealed, and it would keep anything wet from reactivating the spit, because the spit will reactivate until it's sealed. So that being said, if you start something and walk away from it because dinner was burning, or kids having a fit and you need to go take care of your kid, and you come back, it's a couple hours later and you think, oh no, my stuff's dry, what am I going to do? Hit it with a little water, hit it with a little more unicorn spit, and it'll reactivate. The other good thing with unicorn spit is if you get it to where you're kind of happy with it and you real lightly put even the thinnest coat of polyurethane on it, you can then go over top of the poly with another layer of unicorn spit. So you can start building up layers. You can start getting three-dimensional with it. You can also go over chalk paint. It will brighten up the chalk paint. You can almost do like an antiquing sort of effect, which seems to be all the rage anymore. I haven't actually done anything with the chalk paint yet. I'm working my way up to that. So we've seen what it can do a little bit on wood. Glass, it works just as well. It can give you some really cool effects, such as you can see, maybe, it will give you a nice glowing effect if you have I wouldn't put a real candle in there, but the battery operated candles put down in there shine through and it will look halfway decent. That was my first attempt and I'm not overly ecstatic with it, but it turned out alright, and it was $1 at the dollar store. So you can go and get a whole slew of these things, and let's say you do them, you're not happy with it, and think, oh man, I just wasted however many vases. Well, before you seal it, just stick it under the sink, wash it off, let it dry, and you can do it all over again. And you can keep hitting it until you're happy with it. Now, the one thing I did do before I put the spit on, which you don't have to, I took and put a very thin layer of Mod Podge on it, the clear, just so it would have something else to bite onto. So I've got a whole slew of these. I figured $1 can't go wrong, and if I didn't like it, I can always wash it off. This is a piece of Lexan. It is really nothing more than acrylic, plexiglass, whatever you want to call it. And this was the very first thing I did, because when I was down in North Carolina with Melissa and PJ, and she was showing us how much fun it can be to get elbow deep in paint, I thought, well, why can't you make the paint thin enough that you could pour it over this and almost have a stained glass effect? Well, tried that, didn't work out too well. So got on some Google Foo and found unicorn spit. And it is a blast to work with. Again, you have to be willing to deal with the not so pleasant fumes of an oil-based sealer, which if you do it in a well-ventilated area, it's not that bad. Or if you have a trusty art bitch like I do, he will put the sealer on for you.
Yes, that's what an art bitch is for.
Alright, so one of the things when you're working with unicorn spit, and let's say you want to do a jewelry box, which I just happen to have, it was already pre-stained, which isn't that big of a deal for unicorn spit because it will go over this. It may make it a little darker, which that's fine if that's what you're looking for. To me, it doesn't matter. It's something to try out some different techniques on. You can do it in whatever color schemes you want, but wood is not something that I'm even all that comfortable yet trying to do, because you don't have the, oh, let me go wash this off. You can wipe it off, you can wipe it down, you can keep adding water to it until it gets so washed out that you can barely see it, but you can never really get it 100% out of the wood. Helen, if you need an art bitch, I don't know what to tell you. I got lucky. I might have found the last one in stock. I'm not sure. The first thing I ever really played with unicorn spit was on the Lexan. And this is a lot cheaper. It's a lot more forgivable, because if you do something that you are totally not happy with, just wash it off. It doesn't take long for the unicorn spit to dry. These, even the other vase, it took less than an hour for the unicorn spit to dry. So it's got quick turnaround time. So if you're trying to do a whole bunch of something for, maybe you have a craft fair you're going to and you want to get a lot of stock in something, it does dry quickly. The longest part is just getting the sealer on. Now, the more sealer you put on it, the better it looks. One coat will seal it and it will get the color to pop again, because as this dries, it looks milky, it looks chalky. Once you hit it with that first coat, your colors come back, but the more layers you put on, the more vibrant it gets. So we're gonna try a little something on this, I guess, and see what kind of mess we can make. And we will get these over here. Now, one of the cool things about unicorn spit is that it is non-toxic. So you can sit here and you can finger paint, you can do whatever. It will not hurt you. It is, again, non-toxic, and it actually smells good. So it does
like lavender.
Jasmine actually. Yeah. It doesn't get stinky until you seal it. So one of the good things also about unicorn spit, just like with acrylic pouring and all the different groups out there, there are a ton of groups for people who do unicorn spit. And it can get a little daunting when you can see what some of these people can do with unicorn spit. But it gives me hope that maybe one day I can do something even half as good. So with this, it's just a matter of where you want colors, and it doesn't take a lot. Just kind of put some on there. And these were pre-shaken before show, just so I wouldn't have to bore you all with that. Alright, now one of the techniques I've seen used by countless people, the first person being the lady who created unicorn spit. Her name is Michelle. She is infamous for doing this, so we'll see how it turns out. Now, you want to get all of the air out. And then to make it a little easier, you're going to take and spray the plastic So your fingers will actually slide over it instead of just pulling it. And then it's just a matter of smushing to get the colors where you want them. Now if you're looking to do something that is more of a glaze, let's say you want it to do something like this, but maybe you want it to be more transparent, you can take and mix the unicorn spit. It's essentially a 20% to whatever concentration of spit you're using. So if you're using 10 drops of unicorn spit, you'll do 2 drops of water, and it'll water it down enough that it'll be more transparent. Now, I did not use enough spit, so you might think, oh well, I don't know what to do. I'll show you what to do. When you pull this off, you're going to come up as straight as you can, and then you can use what's left over on the film and go back, and this gives you a little more of a sense of finger painting than doing it through plastic. And if I'm not happy with it, again, I can either let it dry and go back over top of it, or I can wash it off and start again. So that will actually even give me some texture when it does dry because of the stippling of the plastic. And if I had, I don't know, some of the glass stones that you can get from the dollar store, you know, I've poured acrylic paint over those. I've had them in the bottom of my pan when I've done a pour and had the paint go over them. You could, if I had them over here, if I would have thought about it, I could have sat here and done some stones with what was left over. But as that dries, you'll be able to tell, okay, well, I missed some spots, or I wish there was more color here, or let me hit it with another thing of unicorn spit, or again, because it won't have been sealed yet, it's not wood, I can wash it off and just start again. So, and again, I didn't really use that much, and as you can see, the white does pick up the colors from the other colors that were around it. It's almost like pouring a little bit. Not really. I don't know. You can get very creative with this stuff. The challenge that Melissa had, the birthday bash challenge, one of the things I sent her on the big chicken picture was an egg. I had found a plain egg at Hobby Lobby, I believe, and
Yes, Hobby Lobby.
it was smooth. It felt almost like a real egg, and I was like, well, that just doesn't have enough bling for me. So I spitted it. Spitted it? Did I just come up with a new word?
You spitted it.
Spitted it. And then sealed it. Then, after the first coat of sealer was dry, I painted over top of that with some acrylic, and then went over that. So you can build up layers, you can mix and match what you're using. It's very, very versatile. The only thing you have to watch though is if you do get it on fabric, because it's meant to stain fabric too, it will pretty much stay. So that's the only thing it really has a hard time totally coming out of is fabric. So that's why I'm wearing my holy pants, that and it's Sunday. But
Helen in the chat room says, new craft. Teach us how to spit it.
Yes, spitted. So the other thing you can do, and this one really gets messy, but it's fun. And can you tell where I shop? Actually got out of there last night. Went in, wanted to look at their clearance section. I had to promise that I wouldn't spend a lot of money, and I actually got out of there for under $2.
$1.35.
So I was pretty proud of myself. Yes, I left behind many things I would have liked to have had, but you know, when you have a significant other that threatens to have an intervention for you, you kind of just have to take it and go.
Kiki wants to know, was it a large or small hawker?
Large or small hawker?
Hawker.
Hawker. Oh, the spitter?
Yeah.
The spitted? That was a small hawker. Alright. This, when I did this one, I think I used too much, but it was hard to tell how much I had on there because I took a plastic bag, sort of like this, just squirted colors on there, and then you kind of do one of these and mush it around. And what made it hard was, couldn't tell how much spit was where, what colors were doing what. So I don't know that I would do that again with a bag I can't see through. But it is an option if you have a ton of Hobby Lobby, Michaels, or Joann's around. This time we are going to try saran wrap. If I don't end up in my other one.
What's the dry time on unicorn spit?
It depends on whether you're doing straight spit, or watered down spit, and just how much you're doing it. But typically this first one we did, will probably maybe an hour, and that's pushing it. It'll probably be done. It'll probably be dry before that. That's the one of the many good things about unicorn spit. It dries really quick. So we're gonna try it like this. Get off. Thank you. Well, I can't. Alright. Still not in frame.
No, you're fine. Just going to adjust the camera, everybody. Want you all to be able to see this.
Alright. So since we didn't use any green last time, we'll throw a little green on here. And we're going to make a big old mess.
It's always about my feet, isn't it, with you? I told you I don't like shoes.
Who does? And we'll do a little purple.
Mary says hi.
Hello, Mary. Alrighty. What?
Lynn says she makes her husband get pennies to take care of the ugly feet, and that he's so out of place in the salon.
Oh, I bet. Alright, and because I can see that I missed some spots, and if you, I want a little green here, you can do that. Or if you want some purple in your green, it's all about whatever you want. Yes.
Where'd you get that glass?
The vase, it was $1 at the dollar store. I think it was the Dollar Tree. They had all kinds of different vases, and they were all $1, obviously. But that one, surprisingly, seems really thick, and I was shocked that it was in there and only $1.
Yeah, it's really heavy.
It's very heavy. This one is pretty solid down in through here, but it seems to get thinner the higher up you go, which, you know, that's how they all are, I think. But it's for $1, you can't go wrong. I mean, I guess you could. You can always go wrong, but for $1, might as well roll the dice a little bit. And again, if it dries and I'm like, you know, I'm really not digging that green, or oh wow, I missed some spots, which the more I look at it, I think I might have. Once it's dry, I can go right back over it and touch it up with any color. If I want it to go in and, let's say, remove I don't want to touch it because I'm end up with it all over me even more. Let's say this hadn't been sealed yet, and I wanted to have a cutout and want it to have a design where you could actually see into the glass. You can remove it before it's sealed, seal it, and then you'll have, you know, a breakout in your pattern so that you can actually see the candle, fake candle in it.
Yeah, Lynn wants to know if if you think the paint would hold up to the heat of a candle.
I think it would. I don't know that I would trust it though because of the sealer on it.
Well, the sealer would be on the outside, right?
Right, it's all on the outside. I haven't tried it. I guess I'm too girly. I didn't want my house to catch on fire on the off chance, but I think it would. I'm pretty sure it would. It's pretty sturdy stuff. I've seen people make all kinds of stuff with this, and it is really some good stuff. A lady on the Unicorn Spit group on Facebook was opening a bar and totally did her bar top in Unicorn Spit. Of course, it was resined over top of it because it's a bar top, but she also did her floors, which were all hardwood, and I don't know how much spit it took or how long it took her to do it, but it was a beautiful, almost looked like a sunset going down under the bar. It was really pretty. And, you know, again, it's got sealer. It's going to stand up to people walking over it. But I've seen people do the outside of those traveler tumblers that you can get at Michael's and stuff, that you can put stuff on the outside. I've seen people spit that stuff. I've seen people spit champagne glasses, wine glasses. They use trying to think of what it's called. It's the dishwasher safe Mod Podge, and it's not oil based, but if you do it delicately enough, you can get a coat on, let that dry, and then you can really hit it and it'll seal it so that A, it can withstand going through the dishwasher, and B, it's not polyurethane that you're putting your mouth on.
Yummy.
So again, if it's something that you're interested in getting into, just like any other crafty thing out there, there are groups on Facebook. There are numerous videos on YouTube. You just have to be aware, and it hurts my feelings every time I do watch it, just how talented some people are at this stuff, and knowing that they probably practice, and it's not just a one-time thing and bam, they got it. But it can be very difficult seeing some of the stuff that these people do and knowing that, oh man, I want to do that too, but just haven't worked up to it yet.
Earlier we had some requests. People want to see your latest
Oh,
piece.
the halo pour?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get
Oh, I've got you.
spitty all over it. And that is dried and four coats.
4 coats of polycrylic.
Yep. Again, not my colors. Not something I would do for myself.
I love that.
Yeah, that was a lot of stick work trying to get some color into that lighter shade of yellow. Just not happy with that red and yellow.
You need a refill on paper towels?
No, I'm good.
You need a beverage?
Nope, I'm good, thank you. Trusty art bitch. Alright. Now, this is how you can go about doing glass, ceramic, acrylic, anything that's non-porous you can do in these type of techniques. You can even just take your hands and just finger paint this stuff on if that's what you want. It changes up a little bit when you're doing wood.
And we are doing wood tonight, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yay!
A little bit of wood. Hey Rose, I didn't see you sneak in. Alright, so we're going to take a small piece and see how we do with that. Now, there are techniques when you're doing wood that are kind of similar to when you're doing glass or poly or anything like that, to where you can do the whole put the stain on, put your plastic on it, wet it, and smush it around, and it'll essentially do that but on wood, and it'll be really thick. It'll cover up your grain. You won't really see the grain of the wood. So if you have a piece that you maybe aren't too happy with the grain of the wood, or maybe there's a huge knot in the wood that maybe you're not wanting that to show through, all you have to do is try a technique like that. Now, if you do have a piece of wood that you want to accentuate the grain of the wood to make it pop, and so you're not totally covering it up, there are techniques for that as well. Or if again you're wanting to get into the whole antiquing or distressed, you can break out the chalk paint. You're going to hit it. We can't do it tonight because this will take too long to dry. Kind of think of it as distressing an ATC, or distressing some sort of art journal page that you want the edges to look distressed, older. You can do that to the wood as well. Hit it with a little chalk paint around the edges. You don't want it to have that solid line. You want it to be broken and to make it look older, so that when you do hit it with the unicorn spit, it's going to give you that uneven color of the spit, because some of it will be hitting the chalk paint and some of it's going to be hitting the wood. So that'll be another time. I'll have to prep a piece of wood with some of that on it and give it a chance to dry, and we'll monkey with that one night. Alright, so we're going to start with a little piece of wood. Now, there are, again, different techniques for this as well, and wood, again, will be slightly forgiving. You can't totally wipe it clean, but if it's something you really don't like, you can get it down to almost nothing, give it a slight sanding, and you'll get the vast majority of it gone. So we'll see what kind of mess we make tonight. Now, some people, when they're doing wood, just go straight on the wood and they don't wet the wood. Some people do. I tend to want to follow the person who makes this stuff, because to me, she would know what her product's better at than some other people. So let me get that wet. Didn't need to be that wet, but
that's what she said.
har har har. You're gonna have to go in the corner if you don't behave. You and Rose both, because I'm sure she's acting up. So we'll take some of that off of there. That was a little too wet. Made it too hard to even see where the grain of the wood was. So what I'm going to try is, I'm going to go right on here. And this is where you can use your fingers. Then we're going to follow the grain. And you're pushing down a little bit. You don't have to try and sand this thing with your finger. Just want it to get into the wood a little bit. And you're going to wipe it off. And it's there. It's hard to see. I think it's because the wood is a little darker. So we'll add a little more. And then it's all a matter of how long you're going to leave it on the wood. And that, once it gets dry, between the water that was on the wood and the unicorn spit itself, it will turn like a chalky color. And again, when you go to seal it, it pops the color right back out. So don't worry that, oh, I didn't want this white milky looking shade of blue. It'll come back. You can also make it more vibrant. Like, I'm not quite sure that is all the brighter I want that to be. So it's just a matter of working it in layers, because it's easier to add more than it is to take it back off. So
Is that a jewelry box, or what would you call that?
this thing, I'm not quite sure what I would call it. I don't know.
I call it a stash box, but hey, that's just me.
Yeah, I guess you could stash something in there if you really wanted to. I won't say what.
Ha. Ha ha.
So as you can see, it's starting to get a little more vibrant now. And the wood is dried out. So now that it's starting to dry, the wood, we'll see what that looks like when you're spreading this stuff around. And again, it doesn't really take a lot. And if I want that blue to stay that dark, I can leave it on there, which I think I might.
That's a nice blue.
Yeah, I'm kind of partial to blue.
You don't say.
And yes, it will wash off my hands eventually. It's really not that bad to come off your skin, unless you've got really dry skin that kind of gets dyed, whatever color you're working with. Until that skin comes off, you're pretty much that color. So if you want to use gloves, go for it. I don't have any gloves that are small enough that I can sit there and go like this without the glove wanting to twist all the way around my finger. So I figured, no pain, no gain. Things you do for your art, right?
Rose Ryan says, "Who's stashing weed? Professionals don't stash it." Well, she's not the professional. I am the professional. She stashes, I smoke.
All right, now, As you can see, because the blue wasn't sealed, it got hit with more spit, so it's going to want to blend, which is fine, because then you can just take and you can pull really had not planned on doing this with this, but it's all right. So we can go. Did I close it? No. I promise no banging on the table. All right.
Well, we've got 2 requests for a 5-pointed spitted leaf on top there. And you know, if you do that, that's going to be my stash box. Right?
Uh-huh. So as you can see, because I went into this darker shade of blue and started pulling it, it's pulling that blue that way also. So
Lynn has a great idea. She says when she gets ink-stained hands, she puts heavy coat of hand cream and just leave it on there for a couple minutes, and then the ink comes off easier.
probably
That's a great tip.
that would probably work. Go back to a little bit of you. What?
Helen says she needs Harry Potter's cloak of invisibility to hide me and my stash box. Helen, you gotta come to Maryland, because we'd have fun.
Weed.
Weed, exactly. Where's my soundboard?
No soundboards. Trying to break up this line a little bit. If you're not going to share,
Rose says they should make a film for you, Helen. Fantastic stashes and where to find them. See, that's the thing, though. We don't want to be found. We want our stash boxes to remain private.
I wouldn't know. Stuff's nasty. Although I've never smoked it.
Yeah, sure. I saw those finger coats.
So, as you can see, the dark blue, you can still kind of see where it was. But I've taken and blended it out using white. You can keep adding colors in here.
Kiki says, "Yeah, me neither."
Yeah. I bet.
Uh-oh. We've got a battle in the chat room.
Uh-oh.
Rose is jealous because of Kiki's wrench.
Rose, do you promise to use your wrench and do with great strength comes great responsibility, Rose. Can you do it? Can you be a wrench for the good?
Rose says she's wacky without drugs.
Not Rose.
I think Kiki's rubbing it in a bit.
You're scared of Rosalind?
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah, and you haven't killed anyone yet. You kind of ruined it when you put the yet on there. I think a couple more wrenches are getting passed out. And my Smurf fingers. I am Uncle Ben. I like rice. And I know the reference. I'm just being silly. I am a nerd. You're so sweet. You are a mess. So, any questions? Anything you need me to go over again? It'll be okay, Lynn.
Let's do it. I can't mute. Why do you think she's with me, Lynn? Of course nerds are in.
My rice isn't converted, huh?
Kiki wants to know, did the tile dry?
Actually? Yep. Dry.
Oh, wow.
And hasn't even been an hour yet. So technically you could seal it if you wanted to, or you could go over it with more spit. You could wash it off and go, oh, that was disgusting, let me redo that.
The question for you is, do I go get your tongue oil?
No, because that wouldn't be tongue oil. That would be a quick spray of polyurethane.
Okay.
But, you know, you can, even if you like the colors you have on here, but let's say you don't necessarily like the texture or the design, you could hit it even with a little bit of water. Now, with it being on the Lexan or the acrylic, whatever you want to call it, chances are it would puddle up. So you might be better off wetting your finger and kind of going back in and touching up wherever you would want to touch up. Or if you wanted to add more color to it, like let's say we wanted to get some white over here. The one thing you got to remember is as soon as this gets wet, whether it's with more unicorn spit, water, doesn't matter, it will reactivate. So chances are I'm going to mess this all up, but what the heck. If I don't like it, we can just wash it off. No harm, no foul. So as you can see, the blue's starting to come into the white. That's because it's reactivated that blue below it. And the more I do that, the more of the plastic is showing underneath of it. So as you can see, it totally moved everything that was already dry. So you see, you can, and it's gone. If I hit it with water, you know, gone. You can just start over, which I would have anyway. Didn't like it. But that's how fast it can dry. So, you know, if you're in a rush making, again, stuff for a craft fair or, you know, last minute, oh, Secret Santa, oh, geez, I forgot to buy Smelly Barb down the aisle from me something. Let me slap some.
Did you really just say Smelly Barb?
Yeah, Smelly Barb down, you know, a few cubicles away from me, her Secret Santa gift. Here, let me throw some unicorn spit on a piece of Lexan, get a Dremel out, and a little bit of string, and she can have a sun catcher. You know, it's stuff I already had, didn't cost me anything, and it only took a couple minutes, and it's done.
Patricia's in the chat room.
Hey, Patricia, thanks for coming. So, granted, it needs to be washed a little bit better than that, but you get the drift. And me and my Smurf hands. Now, I can't remember, the other night in Melissa's stream, someone had said something about wanting a scan and cut. I can't for the life of me remember who it was. Can't remember. Somebody said scan and cut. And today, sitting there going through, trying to figure out, you know, I know people had wanted to see spit stuff and whatnot, and got into some of my stash I hadn't had a chance to look through yet. And I found something I bought for my scan and cut, and I can't wait to play with it. I wish I could almost do it tonight. But you can do your own acrylic stamps with this thing. And I can't wait. After seeing Melissa play with all those stamps that she got and having stamp envy, now I can just make my own. And I totally forgot I had bought this. Yeah, I'm getting to be as bad as Rose with all her paint. I kind of hoarded this away and forgot I had it. So might have to do a stream or something on scan and cut. It can be a learning process for all of us because I really haven't had a chance to play with it as much as I would really like to. I am by no means a professional with the scan and cut, so we can try that out together. Patricia was deleted by Nightbot.
Yes, I have fixed that now. I have disabled the emojis from triggering the spam protection. That's what happens when you put 5 happy faces.
Well, you can't ban somebody for being happy to be here, right? You know.
All fixed.
And as you can see, this is even almost dry, even though I just stopped messing with it a minute ago. You can see how white and chalky it's looking in most of the places except for where it was really wet, like right in here. So probably another 20 minutes and that'll be totally dry to where I could either seal it or put another coat on, or seal it and then still put another coat on, because again, unicorn spit will go over tung oil, it will go over polyurethane, it will go over polyacrylic. If it's something you've sealed and you want to add another dimension, you can spit over it. You can put like a glaze over it and then hit that with a coat of polyurethane or tung oil, depending on what you're working on, and it'll give it more depth. So it's something to definitely play with. I haven't had a chance to do it quite as much.
Kiki suggests glossing it up.
It's not 100% dry yet.
Okay.
Still too wet right there.
We'll add it to the website so you guys can see it.
Or leave it for next time.
Well, we can leave it for next time too.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about websites, what's yours?
I'm sure they can read. It's epiphanycraft.com. If you haven't already been over there to look at the website, he's pimping because he made it.
Mama!
Hey, Mama B! I stole your slot considering you weren't going to be home and you're out partying. Rose, you can spit over it. You can spit over it, spit over it. Does it still sound wrong? Spit over it. Spit over it.
You can spit in it.
You can spit on it. Yes, and you can use resin over it. Definitely. I think I've even seen people that do resin pours instead of acrylic pours. They actually do resin, which I would love to do if I had like $1 million. But people, when they're mixing up their batches to do their resin pours, again, think acrylic pouring, just with resin, they will add in all these different things. And I've actually seen people do resin pours with unicorn spit, and they have done almost like layers. They'll do like one layer and it'll have all these different elements, and then they'll go back over it and do another one, to where when they're done it looks multi-dimensional, and they'll do different galaxies and stuff like that, so it actually looks like you have depth to the piece. It's really cool, but I would really love to get into resin pouring, but again, I don't have $1 million. Why are you about to puke, Rose? Because I said don't, you can spit on it. Spit on it. Oh, she liked the painting, Mama B? Awesome.
So what's next on the agenda? Are we going to do the body of the stash box? And yes, that's what I'm calling it.
No, I hadn't planned on it.
Okay. Not now or not ever?
Not now.
Okay.
Nope, that wasn't dry.
Uh-oh.
That was not dry. Dum-dum. Almost, but not quite.
Hey, Rose. Just remember, spit. It's moist.
Yeah, it needs to be washed again. Anybody want to do something else? Do more spitting? You tell me. Or are we done for the night? Monkey Butt Products. Never even heard of it. Well, you have to think about it, Rose. There's unicorn vomit. There's unicorn piss. I'm sure we can come up with some other unicorn stuff.
Unicorn farts.
Yeah, unicorn farts. That's glitter.
Yeah, Kiki wants to know if you are done for the night.
I mean, it's just more of the same.
I say you do the base.
No, I don't want to do the base. I think next time we'll break out the chalk paint prior to, so we can be ready to go, so we can see how that looks. When we're doing it, I'll go through and distress the edges and maybe a little bit up in through here, and we'll come in and we'll hit it with some spit and see what happens. Probably do that. I guess we're going to get onto a regular streaming schedule, so we'll probably do that on Wednesday nights so that we're not competing against Mama B, and probably around 7:30 on Wednesday nights. If that changes, we'll let you know. And if there's anything else you'd rather see or would like to see alongside doing unicorn spit, let me know. And we can definitely do what we can to accommodate, and we'll actually go back and revisit this piece and hit it with some tongue oil so that you can see what it looks like when you apply it and how it brings the colors back. That way you know what I'm talking about. And we'll see if this survives and doesn't get washed off, and maybe do some other stuff. There are other techniques in applying spit to try and get different effects, and we'll tackle them all. So I guess, and I'm sure there'll be some acrylic pouring in there at some point as well, because who doesn't like acrylic pouring?
Gotta love it.
I, for one, love acrylic pouring. So we'll probably squeeze some of that in there as well. And we will see you on Wednesday. If you want to check out the website, it's epiphanycraft.com. You can go over there and see what messes I've made. And we'll see you Wednesday night at 7:30.